In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at severe weather because there's quite a bit of that, including today, especially where we have an enhanced risk. We need to go over that because widespread severe weather is expected. And we're going to take a look at the overall pattern as well. Let's just get straight into things though. And first things first, we're taking a look here at our current radar imagery. And surprisingly, the Northwest is looking quiet. So this is actually probably about a tenth of the time we see this taking place. So that's actually pretty interesting. We do see some showery activity across a lot of the central United States here, especially the central United States and the north central United States. Not really the south central United States at this point, but most of that severe weather is expected here in the middle of the country. We also do have a pocket of showers and thunderstorms right here, and this is kind of pushing further eastward, so this will potentially reach the coast. I know there is a chance at thunderstorms throughout the day up and down the east coast, and that's going to be associated with this pocket of showers and thunderstorms moving through, so keep that in mind. And we also do have some thunderstorm activity offshore of the southeast here lingering. Now let's take a look here at the northwesternmost region here that's actually seeing precipitation. And as you can see, there is just these lighter showers, mostly light greens showing up. There is some pockets of darker greens or yellows indicating more moderate precipitation. We do have some showery activity down here for Idaho, southern Montana, and northern Wyoming as well, some of the most mountainous regions in the United States. And there is some snowfall in here, which is not surprising. This is usually the area that sees the last snowfall of the year and the first snowfall of the year as well. So it all kind of starts and ends in that area as far as winter is concerned. We can see that there is these thunderstorms down here, heavier showers and thunderstorms, especially down there for Oklahoma, where we have multiple severe thunderstorm warnings coming through just to the south of Oklahoma City. Keep that in mind. There is just those heavier showers to the north. They look like showers up here to me, and then very, very strong thunderstorms there to the south in Oklahoma. As we head our way eastward here, we can see that for the northern regions here in the east and for up here in Canada as well, it looks like there is just these moderate to heavy showers going on. These don't necessarily look like thunderstorms to me at this point. It was very cool last night in the eastern United States, lower 60s for a lot of folks, upper 50s. So I'm sure that these temperatures are low enough to where these are just showers, and maybe throughout the day we're going to see a lot of warming. Obviously, as we reach the high temperatures today, that could increase the chance of these becoming thunderstorms later on. I would not be surprised by that. This is probably why the further south you go, the more thunderstorm-like these appear. So when we look at Kentucky, West Virginia, Tennessee, Mississippi there, Georgia as well, North Carolina, Virginia, these areas do look like thunderstorms in here for sure. There was actually a tornado warning there in Tennessee for a little while. And these are going to be heading towards North Carolina, South Carolina, and a bit of Georgia later on today. Those are currently thunderstorms, probably because those temperatures last night weren't quite as cool in this region, obviously, as they were further north. So there is just a little bit more instability and probably Cape in the area. We're going to watch these on our radar imagery, though, or our simulated radar imagery, and see what's going to happen with that. And as we head a little bit further south here, we can see that there is just these typical tropical thunderstorms going on here for southern Florida. So for areas near Miami, the Everglades, and just a little bit further north in that area, we do see these thunderstorms taking place. So keep that in mind. And these could spread further northward through the state today. Anything can happen in Florida as far as thunderstorms are concerned. You're never really fully rolled out of having thunderstorms. It's really interesting down there. All right, now what we're going to do here is we're going to move on. We're going to move on towards some modeled guidance. We're going to move on towards the simulated radar, the total rainfall through the next 10 days, total snowfall, and then eventually severe weather. All right, now here is that simulated radar. Let's just move this towards later on today. And this is by the time we reach the afternoon. We can see this area south of the low really developing just some thunderstorms along this area. So that's going to be near the high temperatures. But as we head later towards this evening, we get this spreading further and further eastward, where these could be some scattered, isolated thunderstorms. Also near the coast, we see some of these developing, those storms that were offshore of the southeast kind of coming onshore by this point. We also see a lot of this storminess spreading through a lot of these areas there. In the central United States, that's where we expect a lot of the severe weather today. During the overnight hours, we really see a lot of these thunderstorms spread into the northeast here, south of this low here, so probably a bit of a cold front stretching underneath. Keep that in mind that we could have some thunderstorms developing in there, and we still see these thunderstorms here for the central plains up through the upper Midwest and some surrounding regions as well. as we're approaching it to Wednesday. Here we are as we're approaching Wednesday afternoon. We could see a lot of these thunderstorms spreading into these areas. This appears to be the main area to watch. I think we have a marginal risk up and down the East Coast from Georgia through Virginia, maybe even higher north there. So they are expecting pretty bad thunderstorms potentially. We still have these showers and thunderstorms around for eastern Canada as well as the northeastern United States. So keep that in mind. That's by Wednesday. By the time I reach Thursday, this low is going to move up the coast, and we do have a bit of a stormy situation happening for the northeast. So they're seeing back-to-back-to-back stormy days actually in that area. So keep that in mind. As we approach towards Friday afternoon, we see a lot of this storminess spreads mostly towards the southeastern United States. We see something like this taking place. Our jet stream is looking about like this. So it's not surprising that a lot of the storminess is riding along that jet stream there. A lot of warm air probably surging into the west. Some cooler air finally making its way into the eastern United States here. And we're just seeing storminess along that boundary. Now, as we work our way towards Saturday, we see a lot of this storminess is still happening around the southeast here. Again, that is along that jet stream, so it's not too surprising. There is a low developing here for southern North Carolina potentially. We do see some storminess returning up there to the northwest by this point as well on Saturday, the 11th. By the time I reach Sunday, the 12th, we do see a lot of this storminess building into the northwest now. A little bit around for the eastern United States, but not quite as much as there has been. By the time I reach Monday, that's going to be the 13th, we see the jet stream has a little bit of a trough here in the western United States. Probably some colder air making its way down, even some snowfall in there. Very interesting. We do still have a bit of a trough here for the eastern United States, though, but this ridge is really building in here for the central United States, heading a bit further eastward. But there is just that cold air mass set up over the eastern United States that is making it hard for a ridge to set in. We get a lot quieter here by the time we're reaching Tuesday afternoon. As you can see, just very minimal storminess there. Wednesday is going to be the same thing. I see a bit of storminess here along this corridor. So for all these areas, we see some storminess as well as a little bit of the northwest, but it's going to be overall quieter by the midpoint of the month. We get a little bit more activity here by Thursday as we see just this line of storms moving through. Still some storminess for the northwest. Again, that's most days though. In this line of storms by Friday, we don't get there because this is the end of the model run, but probably heads into the eastern United States with some storms. And you can totally tell that there is a little bit of a trough here, but the ridge is trying to reach into the eastern United States and the central United States by this point. So we could be warming up by the time it reaches the final half of the month. That seems to be the trend here on the end of this model run. All right, now for the total precipitation over the next 10 days, here we are. If you're anywhere in the whites, you're expecting practically no precipitation. The grays are going to be about 1/10 of an inch or less of precipitation. Your greens are going to be 1/10 of an inch to 1/2 an inch. And then your blues are going to be 1/2 an inch to an inch. Yellows will be 1 inch to 2 inches. Reds will be 2 to 5 inches. And then your browns will be 5 to 10 inches of rainfall. I don't see any of that though. So basically the maximum here that we see is 2 to 5 inches of precipitation for the most part. So if you're anywhere in the reds, you're expecting above average precipitation for the most part over the next 10 days. Because most folks don't average, well, we're looking at 1/3 of a month at this point. So most folks don't average 1/3 of even just 2 inches. So they don't, I don't know what I just did there. Most people don't average 6 inches plus in the month of June of precipitation. Maybe Florida and some tropical areas do. But obviously 2 inches is 1/3 of 6. So if you're anywhere in the reds, you're at least at 1/3 of that 6-inch mark. And I mean, especially if you're up at like 5 inches, then you're looking at like 15 inches for that to be below average. So for most folks, this is a far above average to be anywhere in the reds over a 10-day period. I hope that makes sense. I got a little bit confused there. Now for total snowfall, if you're anywhere in the grays, you're expecting a dusting. If anything, blues will be 2 to 6 inches of snowfall, and then purples will be 6 to 10, and pinks will be 10 to 20. Pastels will be 20 inches plus. But really, we're mostly taking a look there at up there in western Canada is the only area seeing a ton of snowfall. We do see some grays and blues scattered about for the mountainous United States, but really no snowfall is expected here, and it's getting less and less every single day, which is absolutely no surprise. What we're going to do here is we're going to move on, and we're going to take a look here at our upcoming temperature pattern. Now here we are taking a look at that upcoming temperature pattern. By the time we reach about the afternoon hour of today on Tuesday, we see a lot of the cooler air is centered over the central United States here. We do have some warmer air horseshoeing around it. This is a pretty typical pattern. We've seen this in years past. I remember this pattern really well. This just becomes actually more dramatic by the time we're reaching Wednesday. We see more warm air and a little bit less cold air bottled up here for the central United States. And by the time we reach Thursday, it's the same thing, except that cold air is centered more over the east. So the warmth is really spreading into the west here. By the time we're reaching Thursday, May 9th, the southeast coast is still warmer than normal. By Friday, same story, still warmer than normal here. But the cold air is primarily centered actually over this area outside of that yellow region. That's where the trough is, and the ridge is really building in for the west here. So we're seeing a ton of warm air here out west and a lot of cold air building in to the east. By the time we reach Saturday afternoon, we can see this really builds in here for the eastern United States. We actually do cool down here by this point, and the warm air is surging in to the west still, far above average temperatures, but we do have this cold air mixing its way down, and that could be the beginning of the end here for this big time ridge in the west, which would mean warm air could be heading eastward. So by Sunday, we see this build in even further to the west. We're going to be watching for this warmth to potentially head eastward, so keep watching for that. Monday, oh yeah, it's taking a big jump eastward by this point. So we see the cold here building in for the west. Warmth, especially here in the central United States, this could be a big setup for severe weather somewhere in here as this cold air heads into the far above average temperatures. By Tuesday, look at this. We have a full-on trough in the west now, ridge in the east. A little bit of cooler air for these areas, but hardly. Wednesday, it's clear we have a ridge in the east here. Now we have warm air building back into the west, which could mean a beginning of the end to that warm up in the east, as this cold air probably is going to head eastward. So let's see. I don't know. The warm kind of wins out, but we have a massive amount of warm air here over the eastern 2/3 or even more of the country there, with only cold really for the northwestern United States. Something's got to give here. This will not last forever. So I'm curious to see what will end up happening with this. Over the coming days, we will discover more about this upcoming pattern. Keep that in mind. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to move on and we're going to talk about the Storm Prediction Center. We have a few bigger severe weather days that we need to talk about upcoming. All right, now here's the day one categorical outlook. This is for Tuesday, June 7th, better known as today. From the time of making this video, we have a large general thunderstorm risk, again, stretching up and down the East Coast, like I mentioned earlier. This all the way back to the Rockies. So really, most areas in the eastern 2/3 of the country at least expect general thunderstorms to be possible throughout the day today. For your darker green area there, for a lot of the plains and through the Ohio Valley, down into the deep south as well, that's our marginal risk area in that darker green region, and that is where we expect isolated severe weather to occur. The two yellow areas there is our slight risk, and that's where we expect scattered severe weather to take place. And then the orange area there that you see for Nebraska, Kansas, and Colorado as well is called our enhanced risk, and that is where we expect widespread severe weather to take place in there. So we're really going to want to watch everywhere, but definitely that orange area is where widespread severe weather is expected. For the individual outlooks, this is all based on 25 miles of a given location. So for instance, our green area there is 5% chance of damaging wind within 25 miles of a given location. So if your house is in there, there's a 5% chance that damaging wind will take place within 25 miles of your house. So that's how all these percentages work. The yellow area there is going to be a 15% chance of damaging wind, and then the red area is going to be a 30% chance of damaging wind. We even see that hatched area there, that black hatched area there for the plains and a bit of the Rockies. That is where we expect especially damaging wind to be possible, so keep that in mind and watch out for that for sure. For the hail outlook, it's not much better here. We have a 5% chance in the green. We have a 15% chance there in the yellow, and then again a 30% chance there within the red, so an elevated hail day as well. And we also have that significant hatched area again for hail, which indicates 2-inch diameter or larger hail is going to be possible, or more probable, better yet, within that area that is hatched. It's not impossible outside of it, but that's definitely where it's most probable. For the tornado outlook here, we have a 2% chance there within the green, and then a 5% chance there within the brown. So not a, we have a chance of tornadoes today as well. Obviously, a 5% chance isn't super elevated, but any of these days, a bad tornado or two can happen. We've proven that this year. It's happened multiple times where it seems like not so bad of a severe weather day, and then we see a massive, damaging, life-threatening tornado. So we're going to want to take this serious regardless, but it does look like more of a hail and wind type of day. But tornadoes can never be ruled out, and they're highly unpredictable. So we really want to heed every watch, warning, and advisory regardless, and pay close attention to updates coming from the Storm Prediction Center and the National Weather Service. For day 2 categorical outlook, we have a general thunderstorm risk for, again, a lot of the United States, but mostly those lighter green areas is where we have it. And that is where we expect general thunderstorms, but anything is possible. So heat every watch, warning, and advisory. We do have that darker green region there for New Mexico and Colorado, all the way through into the kind of southeast coast, a bit of the mid-Atlantic coast as well, like I mentioned. That's where we have that marginal risk, and we expect isolated severe weather for Wednesday, June 8th. And then the day 3 outlook here, we have again that general thunderstorm risk in the lighter green. We have a marginal risk of severe weather where we expect isolated severe weather in that darker green region. And then the yellow area there for the plains is going to be our slight risk. And that's where we expect scattered severe weather there for Thursday, June 9th. Now we do have one extended day outlook here, and it's going to be day 4 for Friday, June 10th. And this is going to be for Oklahoma, Arkansas, Tennessee, Mississippi, and Alabama. And that's where we expect at least a slight risk there in that yellow area for Friday, June 10th. But it could be even worse than that. Anyway, for today's confidence tab, we are at a 4 out of 6. A lot of what we're talking about is spread across the short, medium, and long range. So we're at about a medium confidence. For today's patron highlight of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our platinum patrons: Bill Crates, James Wade, Dovin Nagel, Larry LePan, Mandy Birchfield, Patrick Strickland, Dave Scott, and Donna Carnes as well. I would also like to thank our diamond patrons: Bill Roberts, Marcus Connolly, Noah Harley, Michael Colessa, Catbite, Charles Stinnett, Bill Dallas, Garys, and John Khaleesi also. Also to thank our channel members, Catbite, Stephen Fan, and Jeremy Cox as well. And anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. I'll see you guys in the next video.